Sitting here, I have two extremely popular brands of cell phone gimbals. The brand new Zhiyun Smooth 5S AI and the Insta360 Flow, released back in March of 2023. And in this video, I'm gonna put them both through the ringer of my everyday professional workflow. And by the end of this video, hopefully you will know which one works best for your specific use case. They are both vastly different in many ways, as you can tell, so giving you a definitive answer either way might be close to impossible, but I will give you all the data that I've gathered from my personal testing and of course my personal opinions along the way. What's the deal, everyone? I'm Jeremy Deal, and if you're new here, I talk about being a full-time creative with a focus on running a real estate visuals marketing company, and of course, right here, the gear it takes to do that. I actually want to thank both of these companies for sending out these gimbals to me for testing. Neither of them are sponsoring today's video, nor do they get to see this video that I'm making right now before I release it, but both of these gimbals have been given to me for evaluation from their respective companies. The biggest difference between these two gimbals actually kind of sticks out like a sore thumb when I fold this up, and that's of course the size. The Flow is the clear winner here if you need something that's ultra compact for long range hiking and trips that, require a small weight and footprint. If you're someone like me who needs the gimbal in a more professional workflow, that small footprint comes with some trade-offs, and the very first one for me is the weight capacity. Let me set this down for a second. Here we go. 5S AI is a larger gimbal built for larger phones with a larger payload capacity. Go ahead and comment down below and tell me how horrible of a person I am, but I am an Android user on the Google Pixel line, and I have an issue I started after getting the newest upgrade into last year. The Flow, it can tend to fall out when I'm doing more complicated maneuvers because my phone, it's got a heavier size and weight. Its maximum payload seems to be right under the weight of my phone plus the case. But there's no way I can get it to balance if I try to add something like a lens kit to the phone. It was built to be small and nimble. This 5S AI, on the other hand, was built to carry all that plus more. I've yet to have any issues with my phone and the case, plus the 5S AI has multiple attachment devices like the additional light with color gels and the AI tracking node. More on that AI features for both of these gimbals a little later on the video because they do both have them. I'm actually going to call this round a draw because in my personal, professional, everyday workflow, I prefer the 5S AI, but there's no way I would pick this beast over the Flow for one of my week-long AT section hikes. So depending on how you use it matters a lot there. A large payload and build out did allow the 5S AI to do something that I actually love. Right here, boom, they put a 1/4-20 thread right on the gimbal. They both have the traditional 1/4-20 mounts on the bottom, but this larger hand grip allows for the side mount more in line with the build out of your larger rig. I've mounted a few fun things to it already, but the most useful so far has been this smaller PGY Tech and Insta360 action cam handle I have for my 360 cam. I get a much better hold and control of the gimbal this way because it allows me to have a wider grip and larger selections of grip angles for more stability in my motions. This isn't the first time Zhiyun has put this on their cell phone gimbals, but it is a big feature for me when comparing these two models in particular. Not having to compress as much as possible under the pivot point, and instead being able to spread out your not so mammoth hands for a comfortable grip goes a long way into being able to control your smooth motions. And of course, if you want the absolute smoothest motions, then you got to check out the sponsor of today's video, M Real Estate from Motion VFX. This one single plugin contains 95% of the effects I use in my personal real estate video deliveries, from super clean titles to the best pre-built real estate contacts I've ever used. This plugin has it all. Transitions, icons, infographics, lower thirds, call to actions, and a whole bunch of other extremely useful drop-on effects. This one pack comes with 116 assets alone, and Motion VFX offers tons of other packs too, including a free transition that I use all the time, the Luma transition. And the very best part is it's all installed and updated through its own application, so they are also the easiest plugins I've ever had to install and use on DaVinci Resolve. Not only are they the sponsor for today's video, they are also the product I use every day in my personal real estate company for deliveries. Check out my link below to get the best deal that Motion VFX is currently offering and help the channel in the process. Now let's get back into the latest design feature I'll be talking about before getting into the two different systems. Now let's get into how these design differences come into play with the actual use of the two gimbals on site. In my opinion, this all boils down to one very specific design feature: this single angled bar on the Flow. I honestly believe it's the best and the worst feature of this gimbal. It's extremely innovative, and it's the biggest reason this gimbal can pack down so small to become the really cool action gimbal it is. Well, let me turn this guy off. But without the more traditional gimbal leveling system like the 5S AI here has, there are some downfalls that happen in user operation. You're missing a lot of the range of motion the gimbal can handle by not having that more traditional 3-axis top system. I personally find it much more difficult to keep a level horizon with the Flow. It tends to tilt down on me while using it, and that angle single bar only allows for you to tilt the phone back up a small amount before you have to hold it upside down, but then you have that problem in reverse. The 5S AI has a tried and true gimbal design, and that seems to allow me a much more stable horizon line while doing these walkthrough videos, especially when you factor in how low of an angle these real estate videos typically are. Hip height is a weird one to get right when you can't tilt the screen back enough so you can see what you're shooting. That's why I use a big camera most of the time with a monitor, but I digress. Other things that happen with this angled bar for the Flow: in the back and the angled positions, you have to hold it in. It seems to pick up a little more of that up and down movement when I'm walking. Is this the gimbal itself, or is it the result of me trying to focus too hard on keeping the vertical straight with this tiny hand grip on the bottom, and I just forget to do the ninja walk? I guess I can't really say for sure, but it is something that I have noticed. In my real estate videos, the built-in light here and the additional light don't do much service, but doing smaller product shots, it definitely helps out. Before I had the gimbal in my hands, I thought it was kind of hokey until I used it, and I realized it does actually help in specific situations where you really need it. But what does help a great deal is this additional, that I don't have sitting in front of me, AI module that can snap onto the gimbal directly, that allows you to use the tracking features of the gimbal without using the gimbal's native application. I don't want to say it again, but really it bears repeating because this for me is huge. I harken you back to my earlier self when I brought up the fact that I use Google Pixel phone line, and neither the ZY Cami app for the 5S AI nor the Insta360 app for the Flow can use my 0.5 wide angle lens natively. With the Flow, that's always been annoying because it's the lens I use the most, but now I can truly track myself free of the application and use the native recording app on my phone and use that 0.5 wide angle lens. Now that has actually been a great addition to my regular everyday workflow, especially in video meetings where I'm describing some scene layouts or where light should go. It's a super sleeper function of the new 5S AI, and I've used this one feature more than I've actually used this gimbal for anything else so far: these live conversations with people. Overall, you have the data and you've seen it in action this whole video. For someone like me who needs something that fits into my professional, everyday workflow seamlessly and does everything that my big gimbal can do, the Zhiyun 5S AI is the winner, and the one I now keep in my truck for backup situations. I actually have some other cool stuff I'm doing with the gimbal, but that's for another video in the future. I'll still hold on to the Flow for those times I need something super small and compact for my personal travels and trips and adventure hikes, but this has just become the new go-to for my everyday workflow. Thinking about using some of the affiliate links down below, or possibly joining my members program here on YouTube if you want to support the channel and, of course, help it grow. Keep rocking and rolling, enjoy what you're doing, make smart business decisions, and let me know down below which one of these two you like more and think you'd use the most. Catch you next time. That's a lot of gimbal.